I'm going to talk about the biggest lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur on a self-improvement journey in 2025. But before I do that, my microphone wasn't working. At least not from the one that I'm holding in my hand right now. But let's just imagine that the audio comes from the microphone, okay? All right, let's get back to the video. If you watched my previous videos, I talk about how I started in 2024, end of 2024, and the things that I kind of went through throughout the year that brought me to where I'm at right now. But I haven't really made a video about what are the biggest lessons that I've actually learned in 2025 from all those things that actually happened. And since it's the end of 2025, I thought there is no better timing to actually make this video. It's more of like a reflection for myself to kind of talk about what happened, or at least what I've learned from the things that have happened. The first one is nothing changes if nothing changes. I used to be a person who thought that everything came out of the sky. Everything just, was gonna get handed to me. I always thought I was some type of outlier in a way of everything is gonna get gifted to me and I don't have to do anything. And I have been an entrepreneur since the age of 19. That is when I actually started to make my own money without working for a boss. And that's actually when I kind of understood that, okay, if you actually want to build wealth, if you want to build your dream life, you got to go after it yourself. But this year was really like a big test for me to actually sit down with myself and face reality that if I want to actually achieve this lifestyle, if I want to, chase growth, if I want to actually become this person, I really have to dig in deep and do a fuck ton of work and accept a lot of hard things. For example, that it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be hard work. You're going to stay disciplined. You got to become a better version of yourself. You got to this is also some things like sacrifices. You got to do so many sacrifices, and the sacrifices that will move the needle, that will actually help you grow, are most of the times the most uncomfortable ones, the ones that you actually never wished you had to do. And to be honest, I know that there are many sacrifices coming that I need to make, but that's exactly what is going to bring you to where you want to go. So if you don't actually put in the action, if you don't put in the work, you don't make the sacrifices, you don't make the commitments, you don't move the needle, and you're never going to be able to build this life for yourself. Because how are you going to turn into this person if you're stuck in old bad habits, in old standard manners, way of thinking, way of talking, way of moving, way of working, how you surround yourself with the right people, like who are the people you surround yourself with. It's really about making the sacrifices that move the needle and actually set yourself up to do things, because nothing is going to get handed to you, even though I thought that was going to be the case. Then, which aligns perfectly to the next thing, is the second lesson that I've learned, is you got to stick to one thing. I used to make the mistake to move around a lot, switch business models, switch offers, switch strategies, switch everything. Because right now, look, I just started back on trading like over a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Before that, I used to run a marketing agency, and before the marketing agency, I used to do many other things as well, like drop shipping, creating an app, selling ebooks, coaching, etc. I did multiple things that, just to get some money. And at the end of the year, so right now, I actually look back at it and I was like, okay, what got me the most results? That was the agency. Why? Because I sticked with it for long enough and I actually put most of my time and effort and energy into that one thing. Eventually, I figured out that's not what I want, so I switched to trading again. I came back to trading because I just figured out that that isn't what I wanted. And now it sounds like I still keep moving, but it's like this whole year was basically for me to just figure out what I don't want to do. And to be honest, I started with trading and now I'm back on trading again. And that's because I always had this feeling in the back of my mind that I should be trading. Even though during the whole year I did other stuff, I always felt like I should be trading. So that's why I eventually decided to go back to trading. And to be honest, I really think that because I kept switching things and because I kept figuring things out that I didn't want to do, it also really proved to me that by switching and hopping around and jumping around isn't going to change anything. You're only going to make it more difficult for yourself and you're quote unquote wasting time. It's also how you look at it. It's all about perspectives. Like for me, I see it as both wasting time, but also as a learning curve, of course, because I also figure the things out that I don't want to do, which is really, really beneficial to me, because I absolutely hate sticking to something that I absolutely hate doing, or at least don't enjoy doing. So right now I actually pushed a lot of things to the side. I don't have to ask those questions anymore, if that is what I want to do, because right now I'm focusing on something that I do want to do. And there is still this kind of like battle in the back of my mind of the type of person I want to become. Not the type of work that I do, not the type of career that I'm following, not the type of money that I make, but it's just where do I live? You know, what is the type of house that I want? What is the type of the environment I want to live in? But that is something that I guess I'm just gonna have to discover through trial and error, because I haven't discovered much of the world yet. I'm still just building something. I'm building skills. Maybe I'm already a year in, but this whole year was basically just figuring shit out that I didn't want to do. And right now I ended up with something that I do want to do and I am going to stick with. And I'm just gonna build up the skill. And in the meanwhile, I can go out and discover the world. But I don't really know what I want to discover, because there's so many places I want to go to, but it also requires capital and everything. So it's gonna come. I know it will. I'm not gonna overthink it. I know that the timing will be right. Everything happens for a reason. Well, at least I strongly believe in that everything happens for a reason. So I have no doubt that I will eventually end up on the discovery pace of the world once I also get a little bit of capital and just have a little bit more freedom to actually do those type of things. But it will come. I'm not too worried about it. Right now, my main focus is to just master the craft of trading and also build wealth, become a better person, become mentally, physically, and spiritually stronger. And then the third lesson that I've learned is, if it doesn't feel right, don't push it. I talked about this in a couple of videos before as well, maybe multiple videos, but I always had this feeling that the marketing agency didn't feel right. And I kept pushing it because I kept convincing myself, and I also kept listening to other people's advice who were in the agency space, who also were like, oh yeah, I went through this phase and eventually gonna push through. So just do it, do it, do it. I kept listening to those people as in a way of, oh, they know the answer for me, so maybe I should just be listening to them, because that's gonna, you know, eventually set me up for success. Eventually it's gonna flip the switch. But it didn't. I just kept pushing myself, and the other people around me also just told me that it's just in my head. Maybe it was, but eventually I came to a point where it was like, something doesn't feel like right. Like, can I listen to myself for once? So I did it. I sat down with myself. It took me 3 months to make the decision. I was in this rut, stuck in this rut for 3 months. I talked about it in my previous video as well, or like in a couple of videos before. And eventually I came to the conclusion that, hey, what I'm doing, it doesn't feel right. I need to be doing something else. You kind of gotta separate it. Like, it doesn't feel right because it's not going fast enough, and my brain is kind of moving forward other business models because I think those will work out better for me? Or doesn't it feel right because it doesn't align with who you want to be? You know, you can deeply feel inside of you that you should be doing something else, not this, because whatever you do, the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you don't enjoy a single thing. You hate it, or at least you just absolutely don't want to do it, and you don't just see yourself doing it, even not on the best outcome ever. Like, for example, I couldn't see myself emotionally that I would be a multimillionaire in the agency space. I couldn't see myself with that. It didn't resonate with who I want to be. Like, there was this image of myself, who I want to be, and there was this agency outcome. It just didn't click, it didn't align. So that's exactly why I told myself, fuck this shit, I'm not doing this anymore. It was a tough decision to make, because it just basically felt like I throw this whole year away, like a whole year of my life being like fucking brainwashed and just fucking being so crazy and just taking so many risks and sacrifices and spending so much money. But now, if I just take a step back and I look at it from above, it's exactly what had to happen, because now I don't ask those questions anymore. So eventually I stopped pushing everything that didn't feel right, just to hope that it will switch and it will start feeling right, and I started doing the things that felt right. Now the fourth thing I want to go through is, it's going to be a quick one, and that is, do it with what you have. Maybe it doesn't really fit in the last lessons, but I know that this is something from, you know, the school system, your parents. Many people suffer from this as well, and that is like that you feel like everything needs to be perfect before you actually approach it. Like, you need to have the thing in order to do the thing, and then you're gonna be able to be the person who actually does that thing. You gotta be the person who does the things in order to have the outcome. I always thought that I needed a fancy camera, fancy microphone, fancy laptop in order to make good videos. I thought I needed to know a lot of things before I could actually reach out to people for my agency. I thought I needed to have a lot of money in order to travel if I want to. I need to have a lot of money if I want to become this person. Yes, of course, I know that once I actually make a lot of money, things will also change, of course. But there's this spiritual side of, business and psychology and self-improvement, where it's like you gotta be this person. You gotta feel the things that the person that you want to be is also already feeling. You gotta do the things. You gotta talk like him. You gotta eat like him. You gotta read like him. You gotta work like him. You gotta work out like him. You gotta be the person, because then eventually, I'm not gonna go too much into this, but the universe, it's just like it's like a universal law. The universe is gonna recognize this as a whole new reality. Like it's gonna be like, he's not doing the old things anymore. He's not stuck in the old habits, so he's becoming this new person. So you're gonna start attracting the things that will also eventually align with the person who you want to be, and then you will end up being that person. There's this one lady who manifested winning lottery tickets and she became a multimillionaire. I think she's still alive or she just passed away, something like that. But she only managed to do this because she already felt like she won the lottery. Every time she bought a lottery ticket, she felt like that was the winning lottery ticket. And you can put that into a lot of things. You gotta feel like you're already a profitable trader. You gotta work out as the person who already has that dream body. You gotta work the amount of hours, and you gotta do this type of work that the person who you wanna be is already doing. You gotta be the person who does the things to eventually get to your outcome. You feel me? But those are actually the 4 things that I have learned throughout the whole year and have made me the person who I am right now. And to be honest, I'm really excited for 2026. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what are the sacrifices gonna be. I don't know what the sacrifices are gonna be that I'm gonna have to take, I'm gonna have to make. I don't know where I'm gonna end up. I don't know how much money I'm gonna make. But why should I even ask? Let things happen, do the work, and eventually you will get there if you stick with it for long enough. So don't quit. Learn from your lessons from last year and be the person who already has achieved what you want to achieve.